Hi, my name is Tom Meyer and I'm working for the Fraunhofer Institute for Software and Systems Engineering. Warm welcome to our webinar series, which is about data economy basics, Catena-X and PURIS. And within 3 parts, I'm going to explain these 3 topics to you. Meaning in more detail. Today, or in this part, we're going to discuss data economy basics. I will explain why we build data spaces and what it's all about. So what's the reasoning to use that paradigm for decentralized platforms? Second, we're going to discuss Catena-X. We're going to discuss what it's about, how is it structured, what are the deliverables you could, for example, use to participate, and what are the roles given in that ecosystem for participation. Finally, we're going to provide you an example in part 3 of PURIS. We're going to demonstrate what it's about and give you an understanding of the overall use case. Right, let's start with part 1, data economy basics. And I really like discussing data economy basics by starting with platforms, because platforms are just marketplaces. So you bring together a supplier side and a consumer side, and you match value creation. Right, so commonly platforms support consumption, so meaning you have a matching so that the goods, services, and actually also money flows are facilitated. So it's a benefit for everyone participating. So that's the overall goal. And to achieve that, platforms are commonly open and easy to participate in. So for example, considering eBay, you can register very easily and start offering your old stuff, for example, or new stuff. Or you can even buy other person's goods. What's important for platforms is there is some governance needed, because if you're eBay, you would like to restrict, for example, offerings and check that it's following your terms and conditions so that you can offer a good service. So for example, images don't contain malware or stuff like that, which could be one straightforward governance condition. And we have different actors, as previously mentioned in the eBay example, on such a marketplace or platform. So you have like the consumer side and the supplier side, and beside that you have operators and intermediaries. And the biggest advantage for consumers and suppliers is that you have a very transparent market. And that means because that market is transparent and you can, for example, compare different suppliers' offerings for one good by, for example, the price, more consumers will join that market, more or less. Considering the operator, it's great. So eBay doesn't produce any goods. They just operate the platform. So they still have the cost for development and operating, but they are not needing any investments in, for example, machinery to produce the actual goods. So for example, the smartphone. And that's great because they can just focus on their key value, while others do same for their key value. Having a bigger market, a more transparent market, commonly also comes with better service because competition is higher. If it's easy to be a supplier on that platform, more persons will come and service commonly gets better. So competition and better service or better products are just like a natural law, or we consider it as such a one. I already touched that topic partially. What's great for operators overall for a platform is the network effect. So for example, considering additionally Uber as a platform, if I have if I use Uber at a new city and there is a big offering, I will say, okay, hey, that was great. I used Uber and there were plenty of persons offering a service to my friends. Maybe those will say, okay, let's try it also out as a consumer. Then it's the same side effect. And if more consumers are joining the market, very likely this will affect also participants to consider being a supplier, so providing Uber services and drive people to their target destinations, which is a cross-side effect because more consumers lead to more suppliers. And that's great. And if the platform grows, you will start committing to that platform, and at a specific part in time, maybe Uber drivers are just considering Uber as their main platform, which creates login effects, because your service as a platform operator is that good that others are depending on you. Same for fulfillment by Amazon, for example. And that's great for the operators, but very bad for consumers and suppliers, because login effects are effects that hinder us from changing the service provider. And we're depending on another. And if they, for example, change the pricing model or raise prices, we're running into several issues. And additionally, also when considering platforms, sometimes storing and computing data on centralized platforms leave a bad feeling or are not in our interest, because we don't know what an operator or intermediary is doing with that data. And it could be, for example, also used against us if they increase services on the supply chain platform and stuff like that, which isn't always in our interest if we don't get offers anymore or orders anymore because others are more efficient than us. So it would be against our interest. And having platforms goes further, because considering IoT devices, so Internet of Things, we have social, technical, complex networks. And if we have collaboration within that between, for example, us and our internal network at home, for example, so our vacuumation robot is collaborating with our sensors internally, because it has been hot and more dust has been flying around. That would also be kind of a data ecosystem, because different things interact to create value for us. So they do it automatically, for example. Same for traffic lights, that only works if there are humans, or that only changes to green if there are really humans waiting at the traffic light, would be also an example. And a data space is a very specific architecture to perceive or to preserve data sovereignty in ecosystems. So it's really about decentralization and distribution of the software infrastructure to, for example, create data ecosystems and platforms, because it's just a subtype. On this slide, you see the IDS RAM, which is just a reference architecture model for data spaces that are governed by the International Data Spaces Association. And easily said, or abstractly said, it's a common way of not providing data to a central platform. So you still have a system providing information or data, which is the data source, and you have systems consuming that in a data sink. And between them, there is an IDS connector. This connector allows you to only exchange data after agreeing on how to use that data. So first, to find available information, you can provide meta information. So like a data set, I'm going to provide you direct access, for example, to my stock information, but only under given condition X. And if both companies are agreeing to that conditions, then they're going to exchange data, actually. And there are some cases where I don't know even that a company B is offering a specific service. In those cases, I will have a broker service in between, which is like a phone book to determine the respective IDS connector where to get offerings for a specific type of service.